I'm honored at this time to introduce the Honorable Sheldon Boyd, Secretary and Treasurer and Speaker for the Mille Band Assembly.
Good morning, everyone, travelers and elected officials and honored guests, to the Anishinaabe that are here, and to our Indigenous brothers and sisters worldwide. Again, on behalf of the legislative branch of the Mille Band, I say bonjour and good morning, and I hope this day finds you well. So far, the winter has been forgiving. The days are getting longer, faster, and the darkness is beginning to give way. This is the 40th annual State of the Band, where the first State of the Band was in 1982. And today we begin our 5th decade of the Assembly. We all come here this morning to hear Madam Chief Melanie Benjamin and Chief Justice Rhonda Sam report to the Band Assembly their annual State of the Band and State of the Judiciary addresses. Under band law, their respective reports are made to members of the Assembly, which consists of District Representatives Virgil Wind, Wendy Merrill, and Harry Davis, and with myself as Secretary Treasurer as Speaker of the Assembly, and this is the second Tuesday of every calendar year. I had a few things to say before calling to order the Assembly, and it's the young people I had in mind while I was thinking about what I was going to say today. And I do this because, along with the common uncertainties that face all youth, our Anishinaabe youth are facing a world where the meaning and identity of our history and culture just aren't there. The greater media and educational systems have been a danger to us and have tried to systematically destroy indigenous peoples, our language, and our cultures. This is the world our youth is facing, where the crises that face all people today, like drugs, violence, and suicide, are disproportionately so much higher in Native communities. To our youth, you are strong and smart. So, to the younger people, just quickly, what are we doing here? All right? Where's our place in all this? Okay? Sovereigns are nations. There are 11 recognized tribal sovereign nations within the territory of the sovereign state of Minnesota. During Sovereign Day at the state capitol last March of last year, there were leaders from 11 tribes and leaders from the state of Minnesota in one room one afternoon. I realized that among the 13 sovereigns in the room that day, the youngest sovereign was the state of Minnesota. And the next youngest is the United States of America. And the oldest sovereigns by far in this territory were the 11 tribal nations. And to the young people here, you are part of those oldest sovereign nations. We've been on these lands and waterways for a very long time, since time immemorial is the word they used. That day in March, the older sovereigns were continuing the education of state leaders because of an education system that lacks complete content on local history. This one-to-one education has been going on for hundreds of years. My son, Sheldon Jr., told me one day that he asked his teacher, he said, why the U.S. Constitution uses the word savage, savages for Indian people, okay? and since it's a living document, uses is the proper term here. He told me his teacher said, because of all the inventions and other things that were around at that time, that's fine. His teacher was going with, what they know. And he said, why do you think they use that word, Dad? I asked him for a minute, and then I told him, I think maybe they use that word to make us and other people of color less than, so they can treat us any way they want and still feel good about living up to the words, all men were created equal. He said, I like your answer better. Many people in this room have never visualized the concept of nations spread across this Turtle Island, say, 1,000 years ago. Vast linguistic groups with dialects, nations within those languages, different tribes within those nations, communities and villages completely filling this land. So to the youth, where is your place? Your place in all this is where you stand. And those 13 sovereigns that day, last March, have a common connection that's here today. But I'll come back to that. Just quickly, to the youth, allow me to please update to the youth and membership 3 things about the legislature, then investments, and then I'll close looking forward. First of all, I'd like to thank all the people I work with where record keeping, appropriation of funds, passing resolutions, and lawmaking are part of a group of leaders. No one person runs everything in this legislative branch. We're not built that way. Parliamentarian and Clerk of the Assembly Darcy Bigbear, Deanna Sam, Deputy Registrar, Hannah Valento, Reviser of Statutes, Samir Kimpson, Legislative Coordinator, and we welcome Jared Miller, Staff Attorney. Now, these are the permanent employees meant to provide institutional knowledge for future elected officials, making these people there the legislative branch. In addition, there's Brianna Boyd and Valerie Harrington Wind, who serve with myself, Secretary Treasurer. Commissioner of Finance Mel Toll, Katie Radons, Chris Waite, Joni Wall, and the OMB staff. They must be recognized because regardless of days off and weather closures, the checks go out and business continues. A special thanks goes out to Adam Candler and Joseph Jensen, whose paths have taken them elsewhere, and we miss you. To all these people, my coworkers, I'll remember this time of my life with great fondness and pride. Okay, now to explain what's happening in sessions of Band Assembly for the purposes today of the youth. Okay, accountability. First, those attending sessions of Band Assembly have or viewed on live stream, there are established protocols that are tedious and repetitive. The rules of Band Assembly, we are doing the people's business. These processes combined with live streaming show the legislature is committed to being as accountable as possible for each and every item that comes before the Assembly for consideration and approval by the district representatives. Legislative staff, including myself as Speaker, are there to provide the best possible support to aid the 3 district representatives while carrying out their legislative duties. That's our job. I really think accountability has never been better, and the acceptance by the rules by the elected officials make all this work. We do have ideas to get better at this, and there's always room for improvement, and that will drive increased accountability. I'll be calling the first session of the 21st Assembly to order shortly. So again, to the youth, what is an assembly? What are the sessions? Okay? These terms give structure to the terms of the elected officials and keep track of time. They allow for changes in power. The assemblies, or gathering of people, are 2 years long. Also, the U.S. Congress is like this. In the Congress, there are 2 sessions for each assembly, but here we have 4 sessions within each assembly. The 4 sessions here, and I asked around, represent the 4 directions the four colors, and the four seasons, those teachings within stories. There's been additional structure added to the sessions under the rules of band assembly by having no new business carryover between sessions. This provides a new representative, a clean slate, so to speak, when taking office, and provides a set timetable to pass meaningful legislation to promote the general welfare of the people during each term. Now, the Tribal General Welfare Exclusion Act of 2014. To all Mille Lacs members, take time to review your monthly statements from OMB. As part of monthly direct cash disbursements, the Tribal General Welfare Exclusion Act monies are part of the amended Internal Revenue Code to exclude from gross income and for income tax purposes a value of an Indian general welfare benefit. Commissioner of Finance Mel Toll created the TGWE program locally, thereby taking advantage of that 2014 law, making possible the added financial benefits to each band member receiving those monthly payments. So, what's that mean? Okay? Many indigenous peoples today were forcibly removed to remote lands away from their historic prime homelands. Today, those areas are now populated with commercial centers and where public tax monies provide benefits in public transportation and services. Reservations are a place to put the Indians, yet tribes are taxed at the same rate. The TGWE monies are a recognition of that historic situation. Okay. Now, just quickly, investments. Again, this position of Secretary Treasurer and Speaker of the Assembly is about two things: facilitating the lawmaking process by chairing sessions of band assembly and being tasked with the financial security of the people. Concerning investments for economic security of the band, I will be brief for now. The investment committee has finished its first year of meetings, but there's a lot of work to do there. The band's contracted investment advisor, Veris Investments, has begun quarterly reports through the Institutional Investment Committee. The band's investments, the people's economic security, has never been as closely scrutinized with the best interests of the people as a priority. Being part of this first year and becoming familiar with those processes has been a life-changing experience for me, and I will be forever grateful for this duty entrusted to me by you, the people. Moving forward, all elected officials of the band will now have more clear information and financial forecasting than ever before. The financial course of the band will be done with eyes wide open, no excuses. This is what the Secretary Treasurer is supposed to do. Now, stories are good. When I was a young man, these older guys from different places were talking at a meeting, and one guy said, some people cast their knowledge, while others talk in circles. Stories. There are stories of runners that were sent out to speak to other tribes about things, getting to know them as statesmen. They were young and strong and knew what was going on and speak or understand different languages and understand the world. They kept leadership and the people knowledgeable and safe on many different levels. They must have been exceptional people to move into those positions, leaders in training. It's that same way now when people travel, even though sometimes people make fun of that, but the reasoning is the same. Those travelers getting experience becoming knowledgeable of neighboring tribes, and now the state and Washington, D.C., keeping the people aware and safe. Our nation continues to operate as it always has. There is continuity. We've been here since time immemorial. Global warming and the Winnebago water story, for example. Our youthful men and women, the strongest, fastest, and smartest, who were there to fight and protect everybody long ago, to meet all dangers head on. Those same ones are going to face with dangers facing our people today, powerful drugs and violence, and many have perished. There's continuity. Our youthful men and women are now among the strongest and fastest and smartest who now seek the language, and through language keep the stories and ceremonies alive one more day. There is continuity. I heard an older guy say, just like each kind of bird was given the gift of its own sound and songs by the Creator, so it is with men who were given the gift of their languages and songs. Which reminds me of two older guys, my Uncle Jim and my dad, Raining Boyd. One was a teacher, and the other one was a truck driver, a realist. My Uncle Jim was quoted as saying, "Without language, we are descendants of the Anishinaabe." And my dad said, just because a guy talks Indian doesn't mean he knows what he's talking about. They were buddies, if you couldn't tell that one. Our financial investments may be in economic security for the coming generations, but money can be spent. But there is continuity, a generational resonance in language and tradition. To our young people, there are dangers ahead. There are many that refuse to acknowledge our presence as nations since time immemorial because they're not learning that in school, and that's a problem. And when those people get into positions of power, our young and strong must run to meet them, educate them like we have for hundreds of years. And those people will keep coming like waves on the shore. We must not be complacent. We must cast our knowledge. The old people told stories where the young thunders are the loud crashing ones, while the old thunders are the one you can feel more than you can hear. My mom used the word monadoo at different times to describe different things, expanding my personal understanding of that word each time. One time in particular, she called a panther that word while she was watching a nature show. My dad told me the story of a Guan or Sioux woman who was in danger of being chased by soldiers. She was told by a voice above to make a drum and taught songs to sing. He said, when the soldiers came to destroy them, the captain of those soldiers disobeyed orders and said he wasn't going to kill those people because they were dancing and having a good time. The songs and the dancing kept the destroyers away, and the people kept living. That's the drum like that one sitting over there with us this morning. That's what all those sovereign nations had in common that day last March. Stories. Just stories. Today I see beautiful jingle dresses, young people dancing, and hear songs and everyone being happy. I also see sickness, death, and many people dying too young. Our enemies, sicknesses, the destroyers. Maybe they'll leave us alone again too if we keep dancing and having a good time like in that story. Maybe all we really can take with us is stories. Songs, language, and stories are energy. Or as my mom might say, monadoo. To our youth, stay humble and be kind. Miigwech. Oh, miigwech. Please. Thank you. Okay, miigwech. Let me call to order now the first session of the 21st Assembly at Neyashing on Tuesday, January 9th. Is there a time, please?
11:14 a.m.
11:14 a.m. Madam Parliamentarian Big Bear, roll call, please.
District 1 Representative Virgil Wind.
Here.
District 2 Representative Wendy Merrill.
Here.
And District 3 Representative Harry Davis.
Way over here.
We have a quorum.
Miigwech Speaker Boyd and Parliamentary Darcy Big Bear.